I'm really happy to introduce the next speaker for our session. Dr. Vora, are you here? Thank you, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure hosting you at NDIM. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, everyone, I'm extremely happy to introduce and share the illustrious experience of our next speaker. It's Dr. Manu Vora. He's a PhD and MBA and is the chairman and president of Business Excellence INC, a global quality management consulting firm. He has over 50 years of leadership experience guiding Fortune 500 companies with Baldrige Performance Excellence Award framework. He's also the chairman and president Business Excellence INC USA since 2000. He has 50 years of leadership experience and has been guiding Fortune 500 companies. Has rich 32 years plus experience as adjunct faculty globally in operations management space. He's contributed at 680 educational institutions worldwide. He's delivered 1,350 plus presentations and published 75 scholarly articles. He's written 50 blog posts on quality management. He's given 2 TEDx talks in 2013 in India at IIT BHU and USA at IIT Chicago. He's designed and delivered soft skills program to over 1.2 million people. He is appointed as the Fulbright Specialist, U.S. Department of State from 2016 to 2023. He's also the president of Blind Foundation of India from 1989 till now and has raised over $7 million for the cause. Is a BTech from IIT BHU Varanasi, MS and PhD in Chemical Engineering from IIT Chicago. It's MBA with Marketing Management from Keller GSM Chicago and has delivered 48 sessions at AICT ATAL Academy FDPs in 21-22. A very renowned figure, knowledgeable contributor, and all of us will definitely learn from his expertise. He's peer-reviewed 68 AICT ATAL Academy FDPs in 2021-22, and he's had 6 medals for quality and 4 medals for philanthropy in 2000 to 2015, 60 awards for outstanding professional contributions, 40 awards for lifelong selfless community service, World Book of Records at London, UK recognition for his social work in 2022, and is one of the Jewels of India, Volume 2 book with 75 Indo-American personalities in 2023. And it is our honor to host Dr. Manu Vora at this platform at NDIM space. And Dr. Vora would be talking about his expertise and would be covering the issue of aligning academic research with sustainable development. It's my pleasure to welcome you, Dr. Vora. Thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this session. It's a pleasure, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Singh, for a very kind introduction. Also want to thank Dr. Sharif for inviting me in the first place, and Atul Rawatji for all the technical support. So thank you all the key people who have been instrumental in hosting this FDP. So if I allowed to share the screen, let me do that. And good evening to all the friends who have joined across India and some from the United States. Today's topic is highly relevant to all of us because what we do as a faculty is to inculcate the love for learning, teaching, research, and helping the society to do better as we go forward. Kindly confirm that the title slide is open for all of us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's open and visible.
Okay, thank you. So, brief outline for my talk for next 90 minutes. I'll briefly touch upon my research journey of 60 plus years. Then I'm sure all of you have now known about the 17 SDGs from the United Nations. We'll just put it as a reference. I'm going to propose a SDGs related research model up front and then dive into why it's important to do the research at the India scene, define sustainability, how to identify SDGs research opportunities, and then how do we conduct the research. Most important aspect is the practical experience and framework about SDG research projects with a tremendous focus on project management, which is not so good in India, leaving aside few institutes. Research methodology, education, and need for it. How do we build the capacity of our researchers? Most important, how do we do collaborations for the SDG related research nationally, internationally, etc.? And how do we communicate the research impact, talent recognition of all the researchers, recommendations? And most important, I would request all of you to pay attention to take two key takeaways from this session. We go through many lectures, many FDPs, but unless we make a determination to take few key takeaways, that knowledge is just sitting there. We need to make use of that knowledge. Thank you. So very briefly, at a high level, started my journey in research as an undergraduate at IIT BHU, my alma mater in Varanasi. So I had three different research projects, one in the second year on doing the survey and writing a report. Then in the final year, plant design and equipment design, they were the research projects. Now keeping in mind, they were all solo. So I want to emphasize that we need to think about as an educator in India, how do we create team projects where we are engaging 4 to 5 students under the guidance of a professor who can help them do the research in a team fashion. Because at the end of the day, teams are the one who work on projects in real life and make them successful. The journey has continued for education at the master's, PhD level, basic research. Mine was an experiment. And then MBA, several projects, including a capstone project. So all in all, I've been honored to guide 8 PhDs, 7 in India, 1 here in the US, 10 master's theses, and over 300 research projects at the MBA level. So a lot of experience learning and helping my students to do the best they can and give them all the resources they needed to complete their project successfully. So this is more a refresher, 17 SDGs from the United Nations. Research is applicable in all of them. Primarily, number 4, quality education, that's where it should be residing. Now, let me propose a simple model for SDG-related research with the acronym FSFRRI. First F is focus, where SDG research should become a national priority. Second, S, sense of urgency, a mandate for HEI leadership to conduct the SDG-related research. Funding, allocate proper funding, otherwise lip service doesn't do the job. Resource allocation, assigning mentors, infrastructure, including training, etc. Results, obviously, number of papers published, presentations made, and patents granted. And the impact at the end of the day, real life impact to the society. So if we focus on these 6 elements, we can create a research ecosystem in India which could be superior to any of the other organizations and the nations in the world. Now, let's briefly review why research is important. So, countries' sustainable growth and competitiveness depends on research, both basic and applied. Now, if we look at some of the rankings, NIRF from the Ministry of Education, the research counts for 30% for engineering and management. That include publications, volume, quality, and patents granted. Times Higher Education World University Rankings, 30% for research and 30% for citations. Unfortunately, not a single Indian university in top 250 rankings per 2025 results. If you look at World University Research Rankings, out of 240 ranks, only 3 got the place, 218 to 233. IIT Bombay, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and IIT Delhi. In the Science Citation Index and Social Sciences Citation Index, India is at number 3, China number 1, US number 2. And if you look at world intellectual property data about patents granted, India is at number 6. So as we see, the focus on research is not great in India. We need to do better. Now, since the topic is around sustainability, let's go back to basics, define the sustainability for everyone. It impacts all the stakeholders, and it is just managing the triple bottom line, that is economic, environmental, and social. We also refer to it as a profit, planet, and people. Fortunately, there are 3 international standards which can empower organization to achieve the triple bottom line by using ISO 9000 for economic, ISO 14,000 for environmental, and ISO 26,000 for social standards leading to sustainable development. So as we can see, no matter what domain you are in, you can pick up a sustainable development project and research project in any of these domains, economic, environmental, or social, and it will add value for betterment of the society and the world. Now, how do we identify SDGs research opportunities? So my suggestion is there should be a national repository web-based system at the Ministry of Education for the entire nation, and convene a panel of expert researchers from Indian HEI's research lab and foreign experts for a brainstorming session to find out what the best requirements are for national repository. Once the repository is in place at each HEI, ask the leadership to get engaged to solicit meaningful ideas on SDG research, essentially create a suggestion system, and create at each HEI evaluation team of 5 to 6 expert researchers to sort through submitted research ideas and select the most meaningful ideas to implement, and make meaningful research ideas under consideration visible for possible collaboration among HEIs and research labs, and continue to update the repository with opening and closing of the meaningful research ideas with good results. Now, this one will require a lot of focus and commitment to get it done. And once again, the leaders are the one responsible to make it happen. and everything starts from the top and it should percolate throughout the organization. Now, how to do research? Now, all of you, as a distinguished faculty, know about what is research. It can be basic, applied, or experimental. You can have either qualitative or quantitative methodology. And my request is the faculty must engage, excite, empower, and challenge all students at different level, undergrad, grad, postgrad, to conduct the research, get them interested in doing research under their guidance. Most importantly, faculty need to spend time with the students by coaching them what it takes to do world-class research, and they should encourage the creativity, curiosity, and innovativeness through research. Now, I'm going to stop sharing point, and I will take questions from the chat box. So, Dr. Sharif, please help me along, and let's keep clearing the deck as we go forward.
Okay, sir.
Only through chat box, please. For the content we have covered so far, please help with any questions or queries. And let's make it interactive, because otherwise it's a one-way street only, and I'll get tired at the end of the 90 minutes by just talking. So let's have some interaction for understanding and sharing what you do at your place and what makes sense. So please. Any questions so far, Dr. Sharif?
No questions, sir. So I request from all the participants to kindly ask the questions.
And Dr. Sharif, you or Dr. Tina Singh, if you have any question or a comment, most welcome to get the ball rolling.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Kindly put your item in the chat box in the interest of time and volume control, etc. Please. Thank you, Dr. Prabhu. And let's make good use of the time, because ultimately we only have 90 minutes to complete the presentation, and we have a few more important ideas to discuss with all of you. Okay, so I see a question. How can research at undergrad and postgrad can vary for guiding students? Fundamentals should remain the same. The level of complexity goes up when you move from undergrad to grad to the post. And numbers also decline as you move forward in the hierarchy from undergrad, grad to postgrad. So there'll be more one-on-one interactions at the higher level, but focus on creating teams of researchers working together, leveraging the experiences from each other based on what they have done, doing internship, etc. So that will be my suggestion. Any funding agencies for SDGs, it should start with the Ministry of Education, and then statewide funding should be provided through the Ministry of Education and Education Department. our SDGs are linked to Millennium Development Goals. We speak of SDGs. So the Millennium Development Goals, as we saw 17 of them, and we can pick and choose when we pick up the research project and link it with any one of the 17 or all of them and try to get the maximum out of it to make a big impact at the end of the day. We're supposed to ask to take students' project by referring peers to other reputed journals. So, any clarity on your questions? So one of the outcome basically is the work done for working on a research to get it published in the peer-reviewed reputed journals. And this is where your role as a mentor comes in very focus. Whatever way you have been successful in publishing, you should provide that guidance to your students who are doing the great research and get them published and put them on the map. Any repository or problem statement related to available, at least from my perspective, I do not know. There may be some here in the audience who may have some idea about where the repository or problem statement is. And my guess is this is a process needs to be started at the highest level, Ministry of Education, Government of India. Next question, basic difference between university in India and US in terms of functionality. Why do we lag in research despite 1.5 billion people? Yeah, so I think this goes back to the historical way we have been taught. Under British rule, there was no focus on research. There was focus on creating a person know a little bit about certain things and don't give them full idea about what's the full scope of the work is. So we created more like an assembly line where people memorize and vomit in the final exam. So our education system is at fault in terms of lack of research, and that has continued and it needs to be changed. And a little later, I'll be talking about innovative way to learn with a different pedagogy and continuous assessment so that we provide the fundamentals to our students on how to conduct research, how to do the research, and then assess their outcome in a different way rather than focus on MCQs and taking the exams and exams and exams. So this is where I think we need to change fundamentally. I think we had a good bit of questions here. I'll keep moving in the interest of time. So please allow me to go back to the slides. We'll have a few more interactions before we come towards the end of the presentation. Now, please pay attention to this aspect, which is highly practical. I'm very happy to share that for last 18 years, I've been teaching at Northwestern University School of Professional Studies. Quality Assurance Project Management is the course. Generally, we have a smaller classes at the graduate level here, anywhere between 8 to 16 people show up in the class from food, pharma, medical devices, etc. For 10 weeks online way, we work together and they work in a team fashion. And I provide all the guidance, all the templates needed for them to do live research on a topic of interest assigned to them. And my suggestion is based on that experience, plus teaching a Gyan program on project management at IIT BHU back in 2016. One, you select a SDG related research topic of relevance and interest. assemble a small team, 4 to 5 people with the interest, skills, and knowledge. Clearly define each one's responsibility. One will become a leader with the overall responsibility to make sure research is conducted and results are available at the end. One will become communicator internally and externally. One person becomes very specifically focused on researching the topic and assign 2 people, one for the editing the report and one for editing the presentation. Unless the team roles are assigned, team members will keep working on things of their interest only, and they will point fingers at others. Clearly defined responsibility will put the full focus on getting things done. Once the team is formed, the faculty should ensure that it's fully functional. I'll share the guidance from Patrick Lencioni on how to make the team effective. And one of the biggest challenge we have all over the world on the projects is lack of use of a project charter, which is more like a blueprint. So if you want to build a house or a building or a factory, you need a blueprint from which the builder will build the necessary structure. Same thing is required for each and every project. There should be a charter, and I'll share with you a simple example I use in my classes on project management. And make use of the appropriate project management tools, which includes the one listed here: work breakdown structure, Gantt chart, project goals, critical path method, how to communicate in a project, overcoming crisis of silence for better results on the project, risk metrics, risk management strategies, status reporting on a regular basis, and the project report at the end when the research is completed. And I have simple examples for each one of these tools as well, just to give you the guidance. So let's start the journey. Once a faculty has assembled a team, should make sure that none of these dysfunctions are present in the team members. It begins with having a trust among each of the members by being open to their strengths and weaknesses, being vulnerable to each other. When discussion is going on, everybody should speak rather than create an artificial harmony of not speaking up. So create a culture of constructive conflict by engaging with each other, and based on everyone's input, topic should go forward, and everybody should work on the issues commonly understood by everyone within the team. When the assignments are being made, the commitment can only be garnered if there is no ambiguity. So everything should be crystal clear. And once the task or a subtask is assigned, hold them responsible for the results, because sum total of their results will become the output of the research project. And sometimes people just sit on the teams working on the research, and they may have some ego, personal ego, and something about their own status, so they don't do any work. That's detrimental for the progress of the team. Now, I want to share with you a project charter sample I use in my project management courses. And please bear with me, I've been through the under the weather for a little while. It's extremely cold in the Chicago area. We hit -10 Fahrenheit, absolute temperature yesterday night. So project information up front, project team, stakeholders, project scope, purpose, business justification, mainly create a vision and mission for your project, objectives in business terms, deliverables, continue with the scope, what will be the scope of the research, what's in, what's out, project milestones. Very important when you are working on a research and a project, something unknown you are getting into, risk is inherent part of that equation. So you need to identify what are the possible risks which can derail your research project and rate them with the guidance by brainstorming with what is high, medium, or low rating of the risk. Any constraints, external dependencies, communication strategy, who is going to do what, when, and how, and sign off. I surmise that in all over the world, through research, we know that only 25 to 30% of the projects are successful, the rest fail. One of the underlying issue is lack of project charter, and this project charter forces you to think through all these issues up front and then work as a blueprint to continue your great research to bring the best results you are capable of bringing. So work breakdown structure. So metaphor here is you want to eat an elephant. How do you do that? One chunk at a time. Of course, I'm vegetarian, so I don't eat meat, but that's a metaphor for the project. At the highest level, you are at level 1. You start doing segmentation into level 2, smaller chunks, level 3. Ultimately, you go to the level where the subtasks can be assigned 1 or 2 or 3 to a specific individual who will carry out those tasks, subtasks, and then you move it up to complete the project. Gantt chart is an extremely simple tool, and there are softwares available. Microsoft Project Professional is a great tool. It's a little expensive, but you can have a Excel spreadsheet to create a Gantt chart as well. This allows you to map out all the key items to be done to complete your research and complete your projects from the beginning to the end, when things will begin, when things will end, and what are the dependency among the tasks and subtasks. Keep in mind that each of the projects have a simple 3 goals: performance, cost, and schedule. And you need to hit the target for all 3 of them. Now, this is another important tool that when you are working on a research project, you need to think about what are the critical paths for completing the research project. So in the interest of time, I'll give out the solution here. There are 4 stations on the left: 11 to 6, 5 to 6, 4 to 6, and 8 to 6. After that, it goes to station 7. So 5, 6, 4, 6, and 8, 6. Each one of these requires 1 week, whereas 11 to 6 only takes a day. So obviously 11 to 6, then to 7 is not on a critical path. You can do it any time of the week. All you need is day work. But each of these paths, 5, 6, 7, 4, 6, 7, and 8, 6, 7, they are on a critical path. If any one of the critical path is not maintained and managed, and your research will be delayed by that amount. So identifying critical path is extremely important for your project and ultimate outcomes on a timely basis. Now let's focus on communication. A sender sends the message within the team, receiver gets it, it should be acknowledged. Normally, we do one-way communication. We ask somebody for input, requirements, etc. Once we receive it, we forget to acknowledge that, yes, we received it. And that is not a good way to communicate. Communication should be two-way for the success of the project and the success of your research. Communication effectiveness is important. Feedback, relevancy, timely feedback, and useful feedback. Just don't tell them it's not good. Specific guidance on what is missing and what needs to be expected to be completed in what time frame. Now we talked about 25 to 30% of the projects and research projects are successful, the rest fail. Beautiful article from MIT Sloan Management Review, how to overcome the crisis of silence, and there are 5 of them. First, the team should plan around the facts. Secondly, project sponsor must provide support. Third, they should be faithful to the project management process. 4, honestly assess progress and the risk of the project as they go forward. And all team members must pull their weight, because if 1 or 2 are slacking off, that team will be suboptimal and they will not be firing on all cylinders. That's just for the fun. Risk metrics, and by the way, this is one of the weak area we have. So my general observation is we need to be providing project management and risk management courses and make it compulsory in all domain, because if they learn how to do project well, it will serve them well throughout the life and serve the organization well, and it applies to all domains. Through the help of the members on the team, do a quick brainstorming, what can go wrong. So you find out what will go wrong, that's the likelihood of something going wrong, and what will be its impact, that's the consequences on the x-axis. And then you create this matrix, items in the red, you have to create a risk response plan, and you continue to monitor those risks throughout the life of the project and ensure that those risks do not terminate the project prematurely without getting results. Risk management strategies, is it controllable? Then you focus on prevention. Not controllable, work with the contingency plan you have developed while you are doing the risk management planning upfront. Now, this is one way to look at it. You start your project on a research project you are beginning. Before the risk materializes, focus on prevention and planning. Something goes wrong on the project along the way, then the focus should be on the risk recovery using the contingency plans. And these are extremely important concepts and topic one needs to be addressing. First, faculty should be proficient in project management and risk management, and then provide the training to their students who are as well. We will take a look at the beautiful YouTube on project management historical view, and then we'll take the questions about the segment we have just covered. So let's enjoy the project management history.
It's as if something were calling, a voice from the past, like some sort of inherited memory.
So let's stop the sharing at this point and take up any questions. This is a very important aspect, using project management as a backbone for all your research work. And if we can do it successfully, good results are definitely likely to come through. So let's have some questions and comments on the segment we have just covered. And it's totally practical. Okay, kindly put your questions in the chat box. Any comments are most welcome as well. So Shiva Kumar has a comment here. Researcher is doing research in clean water production using renewable energy and publishing it paper in a reputable journal. Yes, answer is correct. Her publication will be considered map into goal 6 of clean water and sanitation, goal of 7 affordable clean energy, or in both. I believe it will be applicable for both because it will have impact and connection with two goals, and 17 of them. And what we need to do is have a primary goal attached to it, and then subsequent additional goals where there will be additional impact that can be looked at it as well. Thank you, Dr. George Thomas, for your kind comment about the presentation. Okay, thank you, Dr. Shiva Kumar. Please try to be more active in terms of posing the questions or any query you may have. We learn by asking questions, and this is one of the other observation I have. I've been teaching at the ground level in India since 2006 to students, year 2000 to executives. In India, we have a tendency not to ask the questions. Even if you are not clear, questions will not be asked because people are shy. You need to overcome that and pose the question and learn from asking the question so others in the audience will also benefit. It's good for everyone. One more questions or comments, please, then we'll keep moving. And this is all practical, needs to be done.
Sir, we get two questions. One from Veer Bahadur Rao. He's
Yeah,
asking, project managers need stricter and harder regulation, and many organizations use the concept to hire and fire the methods, leading to more unemployment for those whose responses to situations are not clever.
yeah, this is an unfortunate outcome. The tools and techniques and the backbone of project management is to ensure that the project remains on track, not to punish people. So it's the fault of the people who are misusing project management to hire or fire the people. And that is sad. It needs to change. I'll leave it at that. And Dr. Ratna Dhingra, what to do if research gets delayed as per the Gantt chart, and what would be the best strategy? So I think that can be managed by doing a weekly status review to see why the project is getting delayed and look for fundamental issues in the underlying process of getting things done. Don't blame the people. There could be some glitches, some technical issues which needs to be resolved. So as a team lead and the person who is assigned that task or a subtask, They need to sit down and figure out what additional resource they need to tap into and open up the resource and keep moving. So project can only be successful when it's reviewed on a periodic basis. And I'll give you one example. When I was at AT&T Bell Labs, we had a project where 70 managers from around the world working on this biggest issue, big challenge, the project we are on, helping the customers around the world. They will get every Friday morning 1 hour, and they will begin to share in few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes, their status using the color coding. Green on target, red they have missed it, yellow likely to miss it. So no discussion on the solution in the status meeting. Identify issues and use the color coding, red, green, or yellow. So that discipline needs to be put in place in order to ensure that the project is on track. Okay, we have more questions here. Veerbhadra Rao, what motivational tools should be recommended for low performance in project management process? I think clear discussion by the team lead, working with the person who is not performing, find out what's the root cause of the problem, underlying issue, and try to resolve that, and give clear guidance that if they're lacking in some skills, give them training assignments and ensure that they are supported. And even after that, if they cannot perform, put them on notice that they may be changed from the project and get somebody else to come and help out. Okay, Dr. Vinita, how can stakeholder expectation be managed through the project charter? Yeah, so you need to have the stakeholder expectations gathered, and the team should make sure that there is a golden thread from beginning to the end to ensure that the stakeholder expectations are managed and results are tied to the expectations set up front. So Sumit, at international level, how can we apply for more projects? Okay, so this is where collaboration part will come in play. So let's hold the thoughts on that briefly. Okay, so far. Okay, Shiva Kumar, is there any influence of AI in project management? Absolutely. But ensure that the AI is an enabler or a tool, not everything. You still need to have a foundation and fundamental of project management under control. Okay, I think we'll stop here for the chat and back to the presentations. I have to keep moving. I'm about halfway done. Okay, so my simple request is, if we want to do world-class research, we need to provide world-class research methodology education to our researchers who are young, very enthusiastic to do the research, but they lack the basic foundation. So that's course curriculum I'm suggesting. A 24 to 30 hours course should be taught to all prospective researchers. It should focus on research methodology, how to identify research opportunity within the SDGs, big focus on use of stat for data management. Statistics is underlying major enabler. Ethical decision making, this is big thing. Making the decision making in an ethical way, including value education, effective writing, because the work done needs to be written up effectively, the proposal, reports, patents, effective presentations both to sponsors and the scientific community, time management, one of the three components, schedule issue, project management, extremely critical risk management, etc. And when you teach this research methodology, I'm going to describe an innovative pedagogy of collaborative, experiential, and outcome-based teaching learning process, which has been adopted by AICTE for ATAL Academy FDP's 22-23 cycle, and assign a team research project, ask them to develop a project report and present findings in the class in a team setting. This is again a very important slide. If you want to create world-class researchers, we need to give them world-class basic education in research methodology. Now I'll work through some of the important aspects on education. So let's look at what Albert Einstein is saying to us on education. It is the supreme art of teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. If you can't explain simply, you don't understand it well enough. So make it extremely simple by understanding it first, you as a faculty. Only source of knowledge is experience. Learn from yesterday, leave for today, and hope for tomorrow. I hope we can take few things to heart as a teacher, as a researcher. Very important thing that when we are teaching something to our students, we should keep in mind ultimate aim of the education is to create responsible citizens in India, and they can shine throughout the world, and encourage them to do community service for nation building. The key values to inculcate for character building are ethics, honesty, integrity, compassion for others, practice of non-violence, practice of truth, respect for elderly, respect for environment, reverence for teachers, the gurus, all of you, and spirit of collaboration, cooperation rather than competition and cutting each other down. So this should be our role as a faculty to provide value education in all domains we are teaching in. I'll work through innovative pedagogy very quickly. And I have published a book chapter from Higher Education Forum in Mumbai in 2023. I'll be happy to share that article with Dr. Sharif. It's a short 5-page article. Learners' engagement is very important. So when I started teaching after 18 years of industry experience, my goal was my students should be involved in their own learning. And when they learn something, they need to apply it right away and share it with the others in the class. And we have a big focus here in the Western world to leverage peer learning and class interaction, which should be improved in India. Mostly it's lacking. And if it is done, it's not done in a level which needs to be done at. Now, happy to share 12 keys to the kingdom for learners' engagement. So let me populate them first. So for a given topic, at the beginning, I assign a topic to research to a student. That person does the brief research and come back and share, and I keep rotating them. Share the importance of the topic. As a faculty, it's my role. Third item, real-world application to excite students about the topic. And I ask topical question at the beginning to get the ball rolling, more like icebreaker. And me as a faculty, my focus should be deliver basic concepts and principles, so there is no need for memorization. And our British system, we are wedded to memorize and vomit in the final exam with no retention is not a great model to work with. Faculty needs to allow curiosity and innovativeness to flourish in the classroom. And key takeaways at the end of the session for common understanding. These 4 items, 8 through 11, I took it from the Harvard Business Publishing. They suggest do short polls or voting, arrange role play as appropriate, create small group to discuss and report back in the class, form teams to work on the project and share the project results, and invite guest speakers for broadening the perspective. And sincere request, we as a faculty must replenish our knowledge so that we are at the cutting edge and give cutting edge to our students. And if we do that, we get a gold star. Incidentally, all of these suggestions were implemented for the AICT ATAL Academy 22-23 cycle. So I want to share with you, since 1993, when I joined the academia, I brought the observation from the industry that success came through teamwork. So my focus was the team should be simulated within the classroom. And these are graduate level courses I was working with. So I'm proposing a learning effectiveness model, collaborative, experiential, and outcome-based. Collaborative team focus and cooperation among members of the team across the teams. Experiential, there is a case study, 8 to 10 articles they read, cases they read, discuss, and learn from it. Work on a live project. And outcome-based, there is a reflection journal at the conclusion, focus on implementation. So let me share a few templates which have been adopted for AICT ATAL Academy as well. So we read a lot of articles, but at the end, everything gets mixed up. So in order to keep the focus, I request all my students to read articles in a individual basis and then in a team, and then write down 3 simple things: key principles and practices from the article, application of principles and practices in their function by putting their own name after each item, and key takeaways from the article. So this way, there is a good focus on learning the best, the nectar from the article. Reflection journal, 3 major items, 3 key learnings, the outcomes from the course, 3 key lessons, the concept they will implement, and implementation plan for the 3 key lessons on a single page in the bullet form. The focus on implementation. And I use no midterm or end term exams in my classes. And I also taught in India, one place, Great Lake Institute of Management. They required the end term exams, about 15%. Rest were these items: the discussion board, individual article or case reading, discussion, and summaries on a team basis, team project report, team project presentations, and reflection journal. By doing this effective continuous assessments, continuous comprehensive assessments, you can figure out whether they are learning and able to apply on a live project. Taking exams and giving exams is a waste of time, at least from my perspective. And in that perspective, get away from the extremely high focus on exams to multiple ways to assess the growth of the students. Okay, I'll stop sharing here for a minute. Any quick questions? Let's take it. Okay, so there was a question, what's the strategy for initiating process or managing risk in the project? So first you need to identify all the risks possible where things can go wrong on a project. Then as I showed, you have to create a risk matrix, and for high and extremely high risk, you need to have a contingency plan. If something goes wrong, what are you going to do? So that contingency planning is important. Can AI help project manager analyze data, improve decision making, automate tasks? Yes, it can if it is used properly. But having the fundamental knowledge about project management, risk management is extremely critical. AI will not give you that foundation. It enables you to find the better solution on a timely basis. One more question, so we have to keep moving. Okay, I'll keep moving in the interest of time, so please bear with me.
So there's one more question
Okay, go ahead.
from Samriti Mahajan. For providing degrees, can we stop talking mid-term and end-term exam? Will AICT allow?
Yeah, so this is where I think we need to have a national discussion. Are we gaining what we are looking for in terms of learning from the students? Are we assessing the right way? I think there is even in the IITs some discussion about, is JEE the right way to ensure that the best students are getting through the system? Or are there any alternative ways to evaluate their intelligence and their ability to complete the rigorous course they will be undertaking at IITs? So, simple answer is we don't know, but we need to start the dialogue and raise the awareness that the current system is failing our students. Just look at the outcome: unemployment, underemployment, lack of skills, lack of knowledge. Exams is not everything. It only depends on the memory. If you have a good memory, you memorize and then get a good score, but it doesn't mean that you have knowledge to solve the real life problem. We'll leave it at that. So let's get moving into the presentation now to start bringing it home. Slowing down here slowly. Okay. Now I'm going to take you through the faculty excellence very quickly. What we see here is the average teacher explains complexity, but the gifted teacher will reveal simplicity. We should make an effort to learn the subject thoroughly, go to the principles and underlying guidance and the practices, and deliver the simplicity to our students. Faculty needs to learn in a different way, not just solo fashion, but they should be learning in a collaborative fashion under the scientific guidance of expert faculty, eminent resource people, doing a lot of introspection and reflections, and focus on peer learning and class interactions. In Sanskrit, there are many forms of teacher, and I'm sure some of you may know about it. As they are initially, when we deliver info, we are Adhyapak. Adding knowledge, we become Upadhyay. Delivering skills, we become Acharya. When we share insight, we get a title of Pandit. When we share visionary thinking, we become Trishta. And ultimately, when we share the wisdom, we become the Guru. So we as a faculty need to educate our students by engaging, energizing, entertaining, and empowering them. Use all the levers available to us. What's the role of the faculty? In a simple way, it's to engage the students by creating small groups. excite them by showing applications, empower them by sharing resources, and challenge them to solve problems. Factors leading to a better faculty. This is from my practical experience. Love of learning. So I'm a lifelong student. I just completed 79 last October. I continue to read, replenish my knowledge, so I'm able to deliver the best to my students. Curiosity, empathy for my students, drive, determination, dedication, and discipline on the topics I'm working on, patience with my students, and perseverance to get things done. In the interest of time, I'll keep moving. We'll have enough time for question and answers at the end for about 5 minutes. So few more topics: collaboration and funding for SDG research. At the national level, set a realistic SDGs related research funding goal, say 10 to 15% of the education budget. Do a systematic research to learn about best practices from global HEIs by doing benchmarking, learning from the best of the best, how much they spend and what their outcome is. Allocate funding to HEIs based on national priority and sense of urgency. Individual or collaborative HEIs, SDGs research. And let me focus on the issue of collaboration. In India, everybody wants to be the best by suppressing others or by putting others down. Instead, if we start collaborating, everybody can go up. So that fundamental shift has to be made. Hold research-funded HEIs accountable for return on investment and through publications and patents. Widely share success stories related to research and their real-world impact, and recognize HEIs for doing best SDGs related research. So these are some ideas for discussion and for working on it and see what works and what doesn't work. It's a starting point. Importance of communication and outreach. We need to guide our young researchers to focus on building up communication skills. I'll share a couple of slides on it. Provide timely feedback to improve the research outcomes critical for sustained success. And encourage collaboration with other successful researchers, both nationally and internationally, which will require creating meaningful pathways at each HEIs, and encourage research funding, research finding application to benefit the society. Focus on results leading to return on investment. So applications of the research is very critical. Now, I want to share briefly about the importance of soft skills. If you look at all the hiring executives are clamoring for better soft skill, not only the hard skill. Last bullet talks about ability to work in a team for a new hire is more desirable than problem solving or analytical or quantitative skills. So what do we prepare? Students from the Indian universities, Indian colleges, they are good only in the hard or technical skills. They lack the soft skills like communication, leadership, decision-making, time management, teamwork, problem solving, project management, etc. And that is hurting them finding the good placement. And even if they find a placement, difficult to hold or make progress on the job. The mismatch. We need to have soft skills as a part of the curricula. Very important. Why communication is important. Slide shows that no matter what job we have in life, success 5% from academic credential, 15% from professional experiences, but 80% from the communication skills. And you have to fill in the blank leadership, other skills in the 80% bucket is leadership, decision making, time management, teamwork, problem solving, project management, etc. So if you want to build the capacity of our researchers, give them both hard skill and soft skills, leadership, decision making, time management, teamwork, and project management, encourage lifelong learning, learn from global best practices, adapt and adopt them in an Indian context. So I just want to share with you a live case we completed in 2022 at my alma mater with the help of Professor Anil Kumar Agrawal, professor in charge of training and placement. He has now retired and moved on. 6 sessions were conducted, and we were very fortunate to have a collaboration with the AICTE, ATAL Academy, Alma World, and State of Uttarakhand. All 6 sessions have been recorded, and happy to report that over 92,000 views are there on the AICTE website. And all 6 sessions shown here. If you go there, and I can take a minute to explain. So let me stop sharing, and then I'll come to share the website, training and placement cell of IIT BHU. Okay, it's not there. Let me see if it comes up now. Give me a second if you can. Yes, it is now there. So the entire program has been captured there with the focus, the benefits, the motivation, a little bit about my background, each of the topic, resources, my the PDF presentation, and the video recorded for 2-hour session with Q&A is all there. Each one of them. This is a wonderful resource. It's free. You should tap into it and make sure that you are proficient in soft skills and your students are also proficient in the soft skills. Wonderful feedback, a lot of media coverage nationally, and lots of contacts, lots of photographs. And this was the team which put it together. 7 students, Professor Anil Kumar Agrawal and myself. So I'll stop sharing that and back to presentation. And now I have to start wrapping it up. Now the slides are with Dr. Sharif. So when you get it, do leverage all the resources I'm sharing. Talent recognition is very important. Assign experienced researcher to mentor young researcher. One experience taking care of 3 young ones. Provide incentives to mentors. Recognition and rewards to high-performing researchers is appropriate by developing a recognition process. Encourage young researchers to make presentation at national, international levels by creating budget and monitoring progress. Encourage research, teaching, publication, and patents, and celebrate breakthrough ideas with great impact to society. For example, COVID-19 vaccine development in India. So to wrap it up, my recommendations are for India's sustained progress in scientific advances, it's imperative to cultivate young scientists who are capable and proficient in research, teaching, publication, and patents. Create a meaningful repository of research opportunity within the SDGs at the national level. And I request all of you to consider following the model FSF RRI, create a sustainable research ecosystem in India, widely share this topic among Indian HEIs, CSIR, and all national labs, including private sector labs. And want to thank the AICT ATAL Academy for sponsoring SDGs FDP at NDIM, New Delhi. With that, back to basics. 2 key takeaways from the session, and please share at least one in the chat box. And once again, thanks for inviting me to share some ideas. And we are open for questions. We have about 9 minutes left.
So there is one question from Ratandeep Kaur, and she is a JRF scholar, and she want to ask that how can a researcher focusing on specific industries like healthcare and align their work with the relevant sustainable development goals, particularly SDG 12, responsible consumption and production.
Yeah.
So what methodologies can ensure that such research contributes meaningfully to achieving this goal?
Yeah. So the items we discussed today, having capable researchers in the healthcare who know the fundamentals of doing the meaningful research related to SDGs, using variety of methods, whether it's experimental, quantitative, qualitative, whatever it takes. And they can do the literature review of what is being done in the subject area before they start their own work, and find the gaps and what needs to be addressed and do the meaningful research. So that will be my high level guidance. Okay, so Atul Rawatji has 2 items: collaborations to outcome and importance of communication in research. So thank you. Please put at least one key takeaway in the chat box, and any questions are most welcome at this point. Vipendra, incorporate SDGs research in academia, evolve methods to inculcate capabilities for SDGs research. Thank you. We have 143 people shown here. Please keep putting your input in there, and we can have still a dialogue on questions you may have. Devendra Sharma, what could be the strategy for initiating process for managing risk in the project? I think this we have answered. I'm seeing the old one. Sorry. Okay, so Devendra Sharma has a question. Can a nation achieve sustainable development without a strong educational foundation? Definitely no. How important are universal education, quality of opportunities, and education inclusion? Extremely important. So keep in mind that education is fundamental. Unless we are educated first, we can't become a researcher. And we are already weak in the research area in India. We are also weak in education level in India. Outcome is not the greatest. The product we create, the students, they're struggling to find the right job, progress in the job, because they are lacking the basic skills. You look at a lot of surveys which shows that only 7 to 8% of the engineers are capable of holding the core engineering job. Rest of them have no skill set because they are not given that skill set while they were in the colleges. So your points are extremely well taken, Devendra ji. Focus on education. Think about innovative way of teaching and learning. Don't just keep repeating what we have done for a long time. You cannot expect good results repeating the same thing from the past. Okay. Let's see, we are seeing some new item here. Thank you, Shilaji. Shiva Kumar, research model, thank you. Project management tools, we have to leverage all of that. So thank you very much. Okay, Dr. Vinita Devi, 2 questions. Communication and soft skill. Why are soft skill like communication is more important than technical skill for many jobs today? Okay, and the second one is what advice would you give to students struggling with confidence in communication or teamwork? So the communication is a lifeblood. We may be extremely brilliant. We may have many ideas, but if we can't communicate across other members on the team, those ideas will remain ideas. So that's why communication is important. Second one is when you want to get better at communication, you have to start practicing in a friendly setting. While in the schools, colleges, universities, form a small team of friends, do practice in presentation, get the critique and improve upon it. Also, do good amount of writing and keep improving your writing as they go, and teach these fundamental things to your students. Take away from Dr. Veerbhadra Rao, monument building in olden times using PM approach is appreciable. How is it documented? Today's age, PM is completely software centric. Good comment. The point is, it is documented with not just the software only, but in a real sense. It is already documented with the successful projects which are happening in all different domains. Okay, so few more takeaways before we close. Okay, so Sumitji, you have a question. How do we create meaningful research awareness in the era of AI, especially in social science and management? Yeah, so my request will be take a look at what we have discussed today in the session and see how do we apply that both in social science and management, because this is not a rocket science. It's all fundamental and back to basics. Key is, do we have the will to take it forward in our discipline in social science and management? If you resolve to do that, it will be definitely meaningful to get a good results. Okay, seeing no more input in there, back to Dr. Sharif to wrap it up. We have 1 minute left. Back to you, Dr. Sharif.
Any more questions, everyone? I think all of us have learned so much, Dr. Vora. It's been a pleasure having you, sir. Thank you for making time. And we look forward to your next session. And all of you, please take the benefit of learning from such an illustrious and experienced professional. Please reach out for your questions. We'll be taking one more session. And let us learn a lot from his rich experience. It's been a pleasure hosting you, sir, at NDIM platform. And thank you so much for making time. And may we request everyone to please have your cameras on for a picture with Dr. Vora.
Thank you, Dr. Singh. Thank you, Dr. Sharif. Thank you, Atulji, for helping out. And appreciate the attentiveness and the interaction from all the participants. Look forward to have a great session tomorrow as well, same time, same place. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
ma'am.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Have a
Have a
good
great
evening,
evening.
sir. Have a good
Thank you so
evening,
much, sir.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye.